Yordan Alvarez, he's been a big topic in baseball. Recently, a couple weeks ago, he got a big contract extension from the Houston Astros, and he has proven to be the best designated hitter in the MLB so far this year. So that bears a question, especially as a young designated hitter. Is he this generation's David Ortiz? Some think so. Some may not go that far yet. Luke and I will discuss that all right here on Bleacher Brawls. So this is the Yordan Alvarez video. Is he the next David Ortiz? So let's get into it. Yordan Alvarez this year he's just been, the word for it is amazing. I'll go through his Baseball Savant page later because it's literally the most ridiculous thing I've seen. But I'll go to Luke first. Thoughts on just Yordan Alvarez in general?
I despise the very thought of Yordan Alvarez, and that's nothing against him specifically, but it's about the Astros. So they lose George Springer 2 years ago to free agency. It's like, oh, sweet. Got that guy off that team. And then Yordan Alvarez kind of slides in. Springer, I think he started there actually when Springer was still on. The last year Springer was on the team, I believe.
Yes.
Or maybe the year before. But you know, he was there. He was a good hitter. He did well. He became a threat on the team, but it was like, all right, but they lose Springer, so that's good. Get maybe the second or third best hitter off on that team off of the team. Or Alvarez kind of slides into that role, so to speak, and all of a sudden he gets even better. Better to the extent that he's the ALCS MVP. He's the person most responsible for knocking the Red Sox out of the playoffs last year. They lose Carlos Correa after last year. Sweet. They got that threat off the team. And then Alvarez just gets even better to the point where at this rate, he could end up being the best offensive force that the major leagues have seen since like maybe peak Miguel Cabrera. So I just hate the fact that he's on the Astros. I mean, how can you not love him as a player? I hate that he's on the Astros. I hate that they lose Springer and Correa and they get a guy who's almost as good as the two of them combined. It offends me as a baseball fan. It really scares me as a Red Sox fan. And I know I haven't spoken at all about how he is as a player, but I felt like I had to get that off my chest first.
Yeah, imagine if the Dodgers didn't trade him because they had nowhere to put him in the field because they were really worried about his defense. That would be even crazier. But Yordan,
especially now considering that
with
the
DH.
National League has the DH.
Yeah, exactly. It would be ridiculous. At the time, though, I think he was still a first baseman in the minors, or the Dodgers were at least considering him at first base. But his rookie year in 2019, he played 87 games, a 313 average, a 412 on base, a 655 slugging. He hit 26 doubles and 27 homers with 78 RBIs. This is in 87 games. Like, that's full season stats, and he did it in just over half of a season of games. Like, ridiculous. I got to see him in that 2019 playoffs when the Astros played the Rays, and looking at their lineup, you got this guy hitting 6th or 7th, I think was, and he's got hitting over 300 with almost 30 homers in less than 90 games. It's like, what did the Astros get in this guy? And after that game, I did some digging. I'm like, oh my Lord, this guy is ridiculous. Just even though he's a DH, realizing now DH is literally just a position like any other position because every team has it. It's in the lineup, and he's been the best at the DH position arguably in the last 3 years, but definitely this year he's taking a massive step. Last year, 2020, he only played 2 games, knee surgery. 2021, a little bit down from 2019, 277 average, 346 on base, a 531 slugging. He still hit 33 homers, 35 doubles. But this year, it's almost like that ridiculous 2019 stretch he had. 60 games so far this year, 312 average, 405 on base, 633 slugging for a 1037 OPS. And he's got only 8 doubles, but 19 homers already. Actually, no, it's 21 homers now. I think he hit 2 today. And he's got a 195 OPS plus. He's been literally ridiculous. And that OPS plus isn't counting the home runs he hit today as of recording, the 2 he hit. So he's just been ridiculous for the Astros.
He just hit 2 more as you said that too.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a comparison for someone to come in as well as he did and to still get so much better. So we saw the American League Championship Series last year. You know, if you're watching this, you probably watched it. And he doubled just about every time he came to the plate. He had hit I think a 2-run triple or maybe just RBI triple that pretty much ended the Red Sox season in Game 6. And he was, to me, it was kind of like he came out of nowhere. I mean, I knew he was a player. I knew he was good, but going into the playoffs in Game 1, I think I see his numbers when he steps up to the plate for the first time. I'm like, oh, Jesus, really? He's that good? He's that good. And he got even better. Like you just gave the stats last year, slash line, 277 average, 346 on base, 531 slugging, 877 OPS, 33 home runs, 104 RBIs. This is the key thing, though, to me. 50 walks last year, 145 strikeouts. So he was striking out at Bobby Dahlbeck levels. This year, 312 average, 405 on base percentage, 633 slugging, 1037 OPS, which leads all of the major leagues, higher now if he hit 2 home runs today. 19 home runs, 49 RBIs, 32 walks, 39 strikeouts. So those numbers in 2021 were after 537 at-bats. In 215 at-bats this year, before today anyway. 19 home runs, 49 RBIs, 32 walks. He had 50 walks and 537 at-bats last year. So he's getting better. He was already a guy who had raw power, raw hitting ability, and now he's learning to wait for his friggin' pitch. So look out. And I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's just going to get better, at least for the next couple of years. So yeah, he scares the shit out of me. And with the decisions the Dodgers have made in the last 5-6 years, I can't believe that Yordan Alvarez could legitimately, I mean, there's a possibility Yordan Alvarez could have been on that team too. That team that the Dodgers have right now. He could be playing for them. And who knows how many, I mean, a player with that much talent, he could have gotten them another championship as opposed to the fake one that they got in 2020, because he's that good, he's that effective, he's that kind of player who seems like the moment doesn't really get to him. He's got an ALCS MVP under his belt already. I mean, he's possibly the most dangerous hitter in the major leagues right now.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez, when this video goes up, he will have turned 25, turns 25 June 27th. So this video goes up on the 28th. He's only 24 as of recording. He'll be 25 when this video goes up. He has been, like, it's ridiculous that he's also doing that at such a young age. But as Luke said, the strikeouts and walks have really changed. His rookie year, 2019, if we're calling that his rookie year, he walked 14% of the time, but struck out 25% of the time. And I think that was a little bit too, the pitchers hadn't really seen him. Because in 2021, he only walked 8.4% of the time, struck out 24% of the time. This year, his walk rate is just below 13%, 12.7%. His strikeout rate's all the way down to 15.5%.
Yeah, he doesn't strike out pretty much any more often than he walks. So that's a big thing with a lot of power hitters. You know, at least they'll strike out a lot. So you can count that. He's not going to strike out. You can't bank on him striking out, taking big swings or whatever. He is not just a raw power guy. He's not Willie Mo Pena. He is a professional hitter, and he is scary. And so he got an ALCS MVP at 24. So, and the Astros aren't showing any signs that they're getting to the playoffs any less anytime soon. So who knows if the David Ortiz comparisons could be legitimate in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's crazy. His walks per strikeout this year is 0.82. In 2021, it was 0.34. That's a massive, jump. And that's very good for Yordan. You go to his baseball savant. This might be the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I told Luke this right before we recorded. Yordan Alvarez this year in 2022, his average exit velocity, 100th percentile. His max exit velocity, 99th percentile. Hard hit rate, 100th percentile. Expected weighted on base, 100th percentile. Expected batting average, 100th percentile. Expected slugging percentage, 100th percentile. barrel rate 96th percentile, K rate 84th percentile, walk rate 96%, no, sorry, 90th percentile, chase rate 85th percentile, and then the whiff rate's only 66th percentile.
Like, could Babe Ruth's numbers have been much better than that, even back then, playing with a bunch of school teachers and, pharmacists and whatever that he was playing with? And I mean, and I don't take the David Ortiz comparison lightly in any way whatsoever. In my mind, David Ortiz is the third best clutch athlete, of all time. Like, since the days where every game was being recorded, in my mind, it's Jordan, it's Tom Brady, and then it's David Ortiz. Before 2013, I could have put Jeter right there with Ortiz, but the minute Torrey Hunter fell into the bullpen, that nudged Ortiz over Jeter. And then after that World Series in 2013, when he hit 620 or whatever he did, it was like no comparison. So saying, is Yordan Alvarez the next David Ortiz? It's kind of silly. It's like saying, is Elon Musk the next Zeus or whatever, in my mind, because it's like, you'd have to go so far beyond that. You'd have to even be put in that many clutch positions to be on that level, to be even have a chance to get on that level. But he sure is trending in a really, really good freaking direction at 25 years old, with the resume that he's got so far.
Yeah, if he's not the next David Ortiz, he's the closest thing this generation is going to have to David Ortiz.
Yeah, as far as the regular season goes, he's better than David. I don't know if David Ortiz has ever had a season this good. Yeah, as the one Alvarez is having so far. Maybe the year he had 54 home runs, but but it's a whole different ball of wax when you're talking about, being David Ortiz, as far as what David Ortiz is really known for. And Alvarez should probably be an MVP favorite, I think. I think he's going to get screwed this year. I think he's going to be hindered by the DH bias, even though it's in both leagues right now. A lot of baseball writers don't want to vote for an MVP that doesn't play in the field. He's played 33 games at DH and only 27 in left field this year. You got the Ohtani factor to worry about, where even though Ohtani's not,
it's not the same year he's having last year, but it's still a ridiculous year when you take out last year in historical context.
Right. And the basic mathematical argument where if someone's a top-notch pitcher and a top-notch slugger, is there anybody who can be anywhere near as valuable as him? And plus you got Aaron Judge and Rafael Devers having ball-busting years in the big markets.
And Jose Ramirez in a small market. I will add him too.
In a small market. So, Ramirez might get screwed too because he's in a small market. So, I don't even think Alvarez is going to be in, as of right now, if the MVP was voted on right now, I don't think Alvarez would be in the top 5, which is wrong. I think Judge would be number 1 right now, and Devers would be 2A, and Alvarez would be 2B. But I'm a Boston fan.
Yeah, he's been stellar this year. Yordan Alvarez, I have loaded up on my phone all the percentile rankings for his first 3 years, 2019, 2021, and 2022, excluding like the strikeout rate, walk rate, and whiff rate, because there's a bit on my screen. I don't know if it'll focus or not. If it focuses, yeah, that's all red. It's all red. There's literally all red. The whole thing is literally red. That means like upper echelon, like top percentiles. The whole thing is red. It's ridiculous how good of a hitter he's been, and he's still so early in his career. And
does he have a nickname yet? That should be his nickname, Red Alvarez.
Maybe. Baseball Reference, he does not have a nickname on Baseball Reference.
Dead Red Alvarez. I just gave him his nickname.
Yeah,
Dead Red Alvarez.
I'm cool with that. Dead Red Alvarez. Yeah, but his baseball's fine. It's literally like you cannot get more red than that. The only thing that he could get more red is a sprint speed, which like he's a DH. Like how much are you gonna ask out of him?
Anybody gives
yeah.
Ask about how fast he is, or that he doesn't play the field. Oh man, that Dodgers front office must be like, and that's the problem I have with the DH bias. Like Jose Canseco won a DH fumbling and bumbling his way through right field. Like, I mean, people who play, a lot of really good hitters who play the field don't play the field all that well. If you put a replacement player in there, they'd probably be doing just as well or a lot better, but it's what you do at the plate. There's so few players who really contribute in a highly positive way in the field. Just put that shit out of your mind. And I'm hoping as this current crop of baseball writers kind of dies off and the new people kind of take their space, their place, like that'll go away, because this guy is a freaking man.
Yeah, and I've said it before in the past. I haven't said it on here on the YouTube channel or anything yet. But if a DH, if he's that bad in the field where he's losing value in the field, he brings your team more value as a DH than he does in the field. Yeah. So he shouldn't be knocked for that. And now that both leagues have a DH, and I'm calling it a position because it's in both leagues and it's in the lineup every single day, with the exception of Shohei Ohtani every 5 or 6 days.
It's been a position since
19. In the American League, and now it's in a position in both leagues. Yeah. So,
3.1 WAR, 3.1 WAR. That for a guy who's played DH more than half the games, and when he's been playing left field, he ain't making any diving catches. Like, he's a 3.1 WAR just with his bat.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, literally ridiculous. And like people saying JD Martinez is having a good year at the DH spot. Look at Yordan Alvarez. Yordan Alvarez makes JD Martinez look like he's a league average hitter based on what Yordan's doing this year.
Got 11 more home runs. I know that.
Yeah, exactly. So he's just been ridiculous. Any final thoughts, Luke?
Just want to reiterate that I hate that he's on the Astros. I feel like they just fall. They don't though. They don't fall back. You don't fall back Astros into Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman and George Springer and Carlos Correa and Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker. They just know what they're doing right there, cheating or not cheating. Look at the players they draft and develop. Freaking Astros.
And even trades like bringing in a guy like Verlander, who was on the downtrend, and putting him back to his Cy Young form. The Astros, they know what they're doing.
We go on for another 40 minutes if we got you started about the value of drafting really good players and bringing them up through your system so that you could trade and get really high paid established stars.
They didn't trade much for Verlander though, because he was on the downslope with Detroit. That was an August 31st deal after the original trade deadline on the waiver trade deadline day.
Yeah, he's really washed up now, that Verlander.
Yeah, exactly. Real washed up, huh? Yeah, he's been stellar this year for the Astros. Yeah, but that's going to wrap this one up. So, yeah, thanks for checking in. Obviously, this Yordan Alvarez video. Make sure to check all the links in the description, the podcast, the website, the Instagram, the Twitter, plus all of the crew's Twitters. Make sure to like and subscribe while you're down there looking at the description. Make sure to comment and tell us your thoughts. For Luke, I'm Derek. You have watched Bleacher Brawls. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.